Before we start this video, I just wanted to mention that only 21.6% of you are subscribed, so if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing to support the channel. Hey everyone, welcome to another installment of Harry Potter Theory. In today's video, we're going to be tackling a topic which I'm sure will be subject to much debate. Who is the most powerful Weasley? More importantly, how do each of the Weasleys stack up against each other? If we were to rank the famous wizarding family by power, who would come out on top? Who would fall to the bottom? I've made lots of ranking videos in the past, ranking the most powerful Slytherins, Hufflepuffs, Ravenclaws, Gryffindors, Order of the Phoenix members, Dumbledore's army members, Marauders, professors, and more. If this is your cup of tea, then you may want to check out those videos as well. However, time and time again I've seen this idea commented, so today let's look at the Weasleys. There are 9 immediate family members of the Weasleys to which were introduced in the series, in no particular order: Ron, Charlie, Ginny, Molly, Fred, George, Percy, Arthur, and Bill. Before we get into this, I want you to comment down below your own rankings, then watch the video and see how they compare. The Weasleys first make their mark right near the beginning of the Philosopher's Stone, when Harry stumbles into them at platform 9 3/4. Almost immediately, we get the sense that Harry is going to be close with these solid, kind people. And over the course of the book's films, Harry basically becomes family. Where Harry was shunted at the Dursley residence, which is ironic since he is actually related to them, he was conversely welcomed with open arms at the Weasley residence. He was Harry. And through all their quirks, we love the Weasleys. They are good people with nothing but Harry's best interest in mind, allowing him to spend countless holidays at their home and always looking out for him. But here's the thing about the Weasleys. Beneath their welcoming, warm exteriors, they are all extremely magically talented. A bit of history: the Weasleys are members of the Sacred 28, one of 28 wizarding families that were thought to still be truly pure blood by the time the 1930s rolled around. However, in spite of their pure blood status, the Weasleys did not discriminate against others, like many pure blood families did. In fact, the Weasleys recognized everyone as their equals, muggles, muggleborns, and half-bloods alike. For this reason, they were labeled as blood traitors. Their lineage is long and traceable, and over the years there have been many other powerful Weasleys, but for now, let's look at the ones we know. One thing to bear in mind is that no Weasley is weak, they are all powerful. Some are just more powerful than others. This was the hardest power ranking list that I've had to make so far. Number 9. Percy Weasley. First things first, Percy is certainly the least popular of the Weasleys. I think that goes without saying. He was born in 1976 and was Arthur and Molly's third child, after Bill and Charlie. And though he personified many of the positive Weasley values, his mind did end up getting a bit corrupted, and he went down a questionable path. He did, however, eventually redeem himself. He was a very ambitious person, but this also meant that he was a stickler for the rules. He was extremely disapproving of Fred and George's constant pranks and tricks, and had convinced himself that in order to get far in life, you needed structure. His structured life, calculated demeanor, and strong desire to appease meant that he eventually landed himself the roles of prefect, head boy, taking on additional responsibilities while still a student at Hogwarts. However, just because Percy was ambitious, this ambition didn't necessarily manifest itself in the form of a longing for greater magical ability. Percy was a good student, he attended classes, got good grades, and did everything that was expected of him. But he didn't necessarily go above and beyond magically. He never wanted to be powerful in the sense that he could create all kinds of powerful spells. He wanted to be like Fudge. He wanted to be Minister for Magic. He wanted political power. For this reason, Percy is at the bottom of the list. However, don't get me wrong, Percy is still a talented wizard. Number 8. Ron Weasley. First things first, Ron definitely didn't start his life off with immense magical power. He had innate ability, but it was largely untapped, and it was only over the course of the book's films that we saw Ron really start to build confidence and grow into his magical ability. By the end of the Deathly Hallows, Ron had faced so much adversity with Harry and Hermione that he had more real-life experience than 99.99% of wizards his age, and this gave him the jumpstart he needed. In the earlier books' films, his incompetence is highlighted. However, one thing that Ron always had was heart, and certainly courage. This ultimately meant that Ron was destined to achieve greater levels of power. However, if he never had to undergo the trials and tribulations that he did, then he may have never been the powerful wizard that he is today. Number 7. Arthur Weasley. Arthur was possibly the hardest name to place on this list, largely because he's the Weasley parent and an accomplished wizard in his own right. However, I'm of the impression that many of his children ended up passing him in raw magical power. Born in the year 1950, Arthur was an active member of the Order of the Phoenix, Ministry of Magic employee, and dedicated father. He worked hard to support his family financially, but never failed to dedicate time and love to them. However, underneath Arthur's soft side, he did have a bit of an edge, a part of him that was revealed whenever his family was in danger. This edge is what I feel ultimately contributes to his level of power, as over the course of his life, Arthur has, on numerous occasions, fought off Death Eaters. He was a skilled duelist, transfiguration expert, known to be able to perform conjuration, and charms expert. Arthur Weasley is definitely no joke. Number 6. Ginny Weasley. Ginny, aka Ginevra Weasley, is a bit unassuming when it comes to power. She's the youngest member of the Weasley family and Arthur Molly's only daughter. However, despite her small stature and occasionally shy demeanor, particularly around Harry, Ginny is an exceptionally talented witch. This is even referenced in the books. Yeah, size is no guarantee of power. Look at Ginny. Like Ron, Ginny's skills develop as the series progresses, and by the time the films come to an end, she is extremely talented, able to hold her own even against powerful Death Eaters. When Dumbledore's army was first founded, she quickly learned how to produce a Patronus charm, and in no time at all was adept at producing other powerful spells like Reducto. Being the only girl and the youngest in a family full of older brothers, Ginny had to develop thick skin, and I believe that this is largely what contributed to the development of her skills. Number 5 and 4. Fred and George Weasley. I'm grouping Fred and George together because, well, they are almost meant to be grouped together. However, what you might be wondering now is why they have separate rankings. Shouldn't they be equal? Well, here's the thing. Yes, they are mostly equal, but George did end up living longer than Fred, which means that, however marginally, he likely honed his skills a little bit more. I hope that logic makes sense. For this reason, Fred is number 5 and George is number 4. The powerful Weasley twins were born in the year 1978 and were sorted into Gryffindor House just a few years before Ron, Harry and Hermione. The boys were funny, well liked among the student body, and much to the dismay of the teachers that were bemused by their antics, very good students. However, despite their fun-loving demeanor, the twins were actually extremely magically talented. From a very young age, the boys were able to produce advanced potions and spells that were well above their pay grade in terms of magical ability. Here's the other thing that they had going for them. There were 2 of them. This meant that if Fred learned a new spell, it wasn't long before George learned it as well, and vice versa. Having someone so close to you to bounce ideas off of is almost always going to contribute to a better understanding of something, and in the case of the Weasley twins, this particularly contributed to their ability to produce potions. Not only that, but the twins were able to hold their own in nearly any circumstance. They were truly well-rounded, well-liked individuals. The fact that the 2 boys were able to achieve so much at such a young age tells me that their innate ability is comparable only to few others. Number 3. Charlie Weasley. Charlie was the second eldest Weasley child, after Bill. He was born in 1972, and though we don't see or hear of Charlie much, there are a few things that we know about him. One of the most important aspects of Charlie's character was that he was a great lover of magical creatures, sharing a passion with Hagrid. Charlie attended Hogwarts during the same year as Nymphadora Tonks, and after graduating, he moved to Romania to pursue a career as a dragonologist, a type of magizoologist, think Newt Scamander, that specializes in the study of dragons. The practice of dragonology is a highly dangerous one, as dragons are considered to be some of the most powerful creatures in the wizarding world, and the fact that Charlie worked so closely with them is surely a testament to his magical ability and talents. Charlie was an invaluable asset during the Battle of Hogwarts and witnessed Harry defeating Voldemort firsthand, marking the end of an era and a resolution to the Second Wizarding War. Number 2. Bill Weasley. Bill Weasley was the eldest Weasley child, born as early as 1970. He attended Hogwarts between 1982 and 1989, and during this time he became both a prefect and a head boy. Bill is considered by many to be the most powerful of the Weasley children, largely due to his occupation as a curse breaker, one who removes, counters, or breaks curses placed on objects. The profession is thought to be extremely challenging and particularly dangerous, requiring a complex understanding of magic and a proven ability to perform a broad spectrum of different spells. Not only did curse breaking involve the danger of cursed objects, it also presented the risk of encountering dark witches, wizards, and creatures. Bill was highly skilled in arithmancy, dueling, transfiguration, conjuration, charms, spell creation, divination, and even the dark arts. Bill was truly a powerful wizard. Number 1. Molly Weasley. Last but certainly not least, we have Molly Weasley. I think an argument could be made for having Bill here, but Molly's achievements are just not something that we can ignore. In addition to raising a plethora of talented young witches and wizards, Molly's other most significant achievement was besting powerful witch Bellatrix Lestrange, one of the most powerful witches in the entire wizarding world, and one of Lord Voldemort's most loyal followers. Molly's curse soared beneath Bellatrix's outstretched arm and hit her squarely in the chest, directly over her heart. Bellatrix's gloating smile froze. Her eyes began to bulge. For the tiniest space of time, she knew what had happened, and then she toppled, and the watching crowd roared, and Voldemort screamed. The above statement speaks for itself. Molly was powerful, even if she wasn't always depicted that way. She was primarily portrayed as an unassuming, motherly figure known for her caring and nurturing manner. However, during the Battle of Hogwarts, Molly proved that, in times of adversity, she's able to tap into levels of power that will give even the most powerful witches and wizards a run for their money. She was skilled in dueling, charms, healing magic, potions, transfiguration, and even the dark arts. And that concludes the list. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my list? Disagree with it? How would you rank the Weasleys? Leave a comment down below with your own list. Until next time, remember, anything's possible if you've got enough nerve.